Welcome to part 2 of Dale, the 1984 Chevrolet 1500. In this episode, I immediately break off a quarter 20 bolt in the engine for a bracket. So that's great. If you remember, we got this project last week. We got the engine prepped into the dyno. We did some performance testing and 10.6 seconds, 0 to 60. I'm going to confess there was a slight downhill action going on there. And maybe a tailwind or two. So, yeah, I have a problem, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And also, welcome to Cars Are People 2 garage. And you've been here before, so I don't really have to show you around. We're friends by now, so we're just gonna dive in, because you showed up late, you couldn't get out of bed again, and now you're here and I'm halfway down the road breaking bolts off. But anyway, I have a problem. I've got this new Chevy 350 that needs to go in that 1984 C1500 that I have named Dale. But there's already an engine in there. I can't fit 2 engines, so I got to take the other engine out. That's what we're going to dive into immediately and see how it goes. So, if you're in the mood to help, sure, I would love that. If you're in the mood just to sit there and drink your chai tea, you know, no judgment. There's no judgment here. So, without any further ado, I've always wanted to say that. Without any further ado, we don't want to do here. We're no further ado, at least. You know, let's just nip the ado in the bud and start diving in. So I'm gonna drill this out. Well, you go get, you know, a refill, and then we'll start draining fluids, yanking the all the exhaust off, since we're gonna replace it anyway. I'm gonna do a bunch of stuff while the truck's on the lift, then I'm gonna roll the truck off the lift and pull the motor. Because I think when it's up on the lift, up on the 4-post lift, my, you know, engine hoist is not gonna be able to pull the motor. So we got to get it down on the level ground here to do that. So there's gonna be just a bunch of stuff happening. We're going to cue the music. Oh, this is just the intro music. Okay, so cue the intro music, enjoy this intro, and then we'll cue the other music while I work on this. Super glad you're here. I don't know what that noise was, but we're gonna ignore it for now, at least. It's okay. All right, making progress. You know, just keep doing the thing and it'll get done. So underneath, the bell housing is disconnected, starter's out, exhaust is gone. What else? Motor mount bolts are out. Basically, everything underneath is ready to rock and roll. So we just need to disco the fuel lines, some electrical lines. I'm going to take off all of the accessories on the front, get rid of this rat's nest of, you know, we're going to do some cleanup under here. I'm looking, so I did look behind the seat. Let's just do that together because, you know, we like cars, right? We like to see what people are doing with their cars. So here, look at this. We have got, and I don't even know if this is factory. If it's not, it's very well done. I can't remember. I haven't seen one of these square bodies behind the seat for a long time. But anyway, got some nice Pioneer speakers, some Infinity components and something else, you know. This thing's got some sound on the inside. And the thing I love about it is you never know opening the doors. You're like, yeah, old truck, check. It's great, it's the best. Anyway, so on that note, I'm noticing, you know, whatever Best Buy technician kind of just draped these ugly red wires over the top of the, you know, whatever, temperature control box. We're gonna, when this engine comes out, we're gonna clean all that up. We're gonna clean up all of this vacuum stuff, get rid of what we don't need. Just make it, you know, I don't want that motor over there that we can't see. If we put that in there like this, it's gonna look like a diamond on a pile of turd. You know, a manure pile with something pretty on it. Flower growing out of it. It's just gonna look, ouch. I was about to drop that on my foot. Let's just set this over here. Almost had to, 0 days since last injury. Yeah, we're like, you know, 7 days since I haven't been at work, so, you know. Anyway, my insurance is for sure gonna go up after they see this. Okay, huge complaint. I'm about to make a complaint alert. So, what we have here, oh, let's look at the one that we just dropped. What size is that? 9/16, printed in bright letters for old man eyes to be able to see in the dark. We've got a 13 and we've got an 18. So far, I've got 2 different size metrics and 1 standard just to start loosening up to remove the belts. 2 standards because I removed the fan. So 2 standards and 2, okay, this is my gripe about the 80s and 90s. And I don't know, maybe even today. I haven't worked on a 2025 and I just don't want to anyway. So I remember this growing up as a kid. I'm like, if you're over in Europe, do you have to have 2 tool sets, metric and standard, to work on everything? I don't think so, though I don't know. You know, let me know if you're in a European country, do you have, are you working on a 84 Jaguar XJ and they just sprinkled a few random standard sizes in there just for the fun of it? It's irritating. I have to buy twice as many tools. This should all be standard or all metric. I don't even care. Makes no difference to me. 0 difference. I make it inches or millimeters, centimeters. I don't care. One or the other. Let's quit mixing the crap. It's like trying to learn a separate language. Okay. I'm having to calm myself down again. Getting worked up. All right, so I'm going to, look at that, this is so interesting, okay? When you work on a bunch of different cars, you see things. We're just gonna bounce around, try to give you whiplash with the amount of subject changes. See, look at this, proportioning valve for the brakes. It's right there. You've got the lines coming forward, and there it is. 9 times out of 10, it's right over there on the frame rail. These come down, they go in there, they split. I don't know. I think there was an engineer somewhere that needed to justify his paycheck. I have an idea. That's what happened. Beware of those guys, I'm telling you. It's like the Friday afternoon crowd assembling a vehicle. You run into that sometimes. It's time to go. And maybe things are a little weird. Anyway, yeah, I'm going to keep on keeping on. I'm going to keep on just guessing what sort of bolts are on this and how many different, not just metric or standard, but how many different sizes they can fit on one bracket. Let's just, you know, let's just make it all the sizes. Why not? I'll have 20 sockets out here and I'll just somehow get this off. So anyway, all right. Well, I'm done now. I had to get it out. Don't keep it in because you'll just blow up sometime. So anyway, I'm gonna keep after it and you just enjoy this music. All right. See you in a minute. Well, that was fun. My buddy just came over, actually. Now, it's not today. This is a different day. But he came over the last time we were together and came and got his Bronco. So it's such a cool truck. We took a little drive in it around. Sorry you could not be here for that, but yeah, it's pretty sweet. So he just bought a trailer and painted the trailer and then was loading it up because he's got a Bronco extravaganza to go to in a couple weeks. I don't know what it's called, but you know, Bronco Festival, people that have Broncos, they like it. So I am in the engine bay where the engine should be with a suit on to clean. Now you might be asking yourself, why aren't you just pressure washing it? That seems to make the most sense. Well, there's a good reason for that. Number one, it's cold outside. Not too cold. I could run a pressure washer, but then I'd have to roll this off the lift outside by myself, set the pressure washer up, pressure wash, put the pressure washer away. Keep in mind, I gotta run a hose all the way up from the house down here because I don't have water down here yet. I will someday. I was gonna say soon, but someday sounded more accurate. And then I'd have to get this thing back on the lift. Or wherever, roll it back in the shop. Anyway, instead, I am going to use a combination of brake clean for the grease, some scrubbers, some wire wheels, and spray away. And basically, all I'm trying to do is kind of clean the inner fenders, clean kind of where the engine sits. We're not making this show worthy. I also want to make this white again, you know, the firewall, just so when we put the new engine in, it doesn't look like the only clean thing under the hood. So, and also it's nicer to assemble clean parts in a clean environment. So anyway, that's the story. That's what I'm doing. So just, it's been a morning. Let's just put it this way. I woke up at 3. Don't know why, so I got up, and now I'm feeling out of sorts. And also, I was out running an errand early, and I hit a pheasant, or a pheasant hit me in the HMS and cracked the grill. So I had to get online and order a new grill for the HMS, who, if you don't know, that's the Lincoln Navigator that my wife drives. We call her the HMS because she's kind of like a big land yacht, and it sounded funny. So that's why we call her that. Anyway, some pheasant committed suicide on my grill. Didn't even see it. Heard it, didn't see it. So anyway, there's a bunch of feathers in the grill, and it's cracked. Now I need a new one. So I have that job to do. I'm just giving myself jobs to do. So to reward myself for not sleeping and for killing an innocent bird, I am in the engine bay. So anyway, my knees hurt already, and I'm gonna be complaining. So let's move on to time lapse. Grab yourself a beverage of your choice. We're gonna turn the music up, run the time lapse so that you can't hear me complaining. It would be better for all of us. All right, let's get busy. Oh, I just tripped over. Okay, yeah, I don't know who put that there. Anyway, what we're doing here is painting. Well, you know, brackets. Got to do the bracket thing. But I figured I'd bring you in here so you can see kind of what some of the issues I'm dealing with are in swapping a 305 to a 350. Not just really any 350, but we've got the Edelbrock intake on it, which is a little different. We've got different headers we're using instead of the manifolds. So anyway, I've got the fuel line put in, I've got the fuel pump put in. I had to reuse this plate here from this engine. And so right now I am figuring out my brackets. So those brackets that are up there being painted, I've got the hardware in off of the old engine. You know, they're a little greasy and everything. I just have them in there to remind me where they go. So I just took them out of the engine, I put them in here. And then also to make sure that my mounting points are the same on this engine as that engine. So there's a couple different differences. So this is a different difference. Okay. One is the bracket on this side has the power steering pump and the air conditioner. So the air conditioner mounts here. Well, a couple differences. These valve covers are way shorter and different than these ones. Also, this manifold, these manifold studs have a threaded portion on the end of them to hold the bracket, whereas on this side, if I can walk around the engine here, so that would be these two, but I am not using the manifolds, I'm using a header, which the flange on it isn't quite as deep as the flange on that one. So I'm going to have to mount the headers and then play around with different hardware and spacers to try to get my bracket to work. And hopefully I don't run into a clearance issue on this. So that's the first thing I'm going to be dealing with now that I've got those brackets painted. As you can see here, we're still going to be using the cruise control. So I had to reuse this bracket. I had to do a little trimming down here because on this intake, you can see on a stock intake, you know, the bolts are kind of in on an angle. Well, you can't even see them because they're buried in grease here. Whereas on this Edelbrock, and you know, it's a 350 with different heads, they're straight up and down. So where this bracket mounted wouldn't work. So I've just, instead of having 3 mounting points, we've just got 2, but it's fine. It's not going to go anywhere. The second one is, of course, back here. So, and I also had to space that out with some washers. And then I had to space this up to get it to work. So as you can tell, I've got to figure this out. So it's not just a straight pull one motor, put the other one in, put the brackets on, everything works perfectly. I've got to make it work. So I will make it work. The air conditioning works in the truck and he wants to keep that. So we're going to make sure he has air conditioning. I'm going to try to do this without having to completely redesign the front accessory system. That is my goal. I want to try to keep everything where it was, if at all possible. So we'll see how that goes. And then I'm also swapping out all of the sensors, you know, for the gauges and things like that. So another thing on that note is we have, I believe this is the gauge sender for the water temp down here, which I can put down there on that engine. But because we're running electric fans, I've got to have another sender for the water temperature that is before, that comes, oh, that reminds me, I need to put in the thermostat on this. But basically is on the engine side of the thermostat. So I'll probably put it here. I could put it here. But anyway, I've got to make those decisions too. So anyway, we will see you when I get something figured out. Wake up. I know, I see you there. You're nodding off. Well, I'm doing all of the work. I know, you know, you're just like, okay, glad that you're back with me here. So, I've been keeping my head down, keeping my nose to the grindstone, doing the work. Haven't brought you in as many times just because I'm under a crunch. I'm under a work crunch here. You know, I don't know if I told you this, it's been a little while, but the motor came in for the Roadrunner. So immediately when this truck is done, I'm gonna dive on the Roadrunner. And so we got to get this engine installed and then get the exhaust put on, and it's a process. But look at this. I mean, look at this beautiful goodness right here. We're just getting, you know, glamour shots. Or glamour shots. Oh man, look at these glamours. Whoa. Sorry, got the hand in there. It's glamour. So essentially, I've got wiring to do. I've got to put all the accessories on, mount the carburetor, get the linkage put in, get the vacuum lines. I'm waiting on some vacuum lines. My vacuum line supply was depleted on the last project. So I've got some more vacuum lines coming, just, you know, assorted. So I've got vacuum lines that have got to come from the cruise control over to here, from the engine to the cruise control, from here to the carburetor, from here to the brake booster, also from over here somewhere to this little unit box here, which feeds your HVAC controls in the cabin. Just got to get all of that done. We've gotten rid of a bunch of vacuum lines because we don't need them. It's all emissions related, and this engine doesn't have any of that. So, yeah, so I've got to just finish mounting all of this stuff and hooking up, you know, things like fuel line and whatnot. So I'm also waiting on the carburetor has dual inlets, and I have purchased a, you know, line that plugs in to that, and then we'll have a short piece of rubber line that attaches them there. So that's the scoop. That's a huge scoop. What's that? Oh, the Mustang. Yeah, that's coming up. Got some work to do on that. I know. It's pretty, isn't it? We're getting distracted. We really need to get back to work, but check that out. It's a 67, I believe. Yeah, beautiful car. Also, the old black 5.0 is back in the shop for a little bit of work. And here's the engine. Look at this jewel. I'm gonna get the numbers wrong, but I think it was roughly 435 horsepower, 450 foot-pounds of torque in this bad boy. It was a 383. It's been bored out. It's got a cam in it. My engine guy didn't build it. My customer's engine guy did, so I actually don't have the specs, but I did have the numbers. So we're gonna dive into that. Not next week, probably the week after. So the plan this week is to get this engine together and running with open headers, because that'll be cool. Once I know it's running, Then next week I'll do the exhaust. I've got to purge the air conditioning system, get that charged up, and all of that stuff. But we'll make sure the engine is working first. And we won't test drive it, obviously, till after the exhaust is on. But I won't get to that this week. It's just too much. And also, I have family coming into town this weekend. And it's important to spend time with family. So I'm going to do that instead of doing exhaust on this. But we'll get there. We will get there, and it'll be exciting. So my goal at the end of our time here is to hear this thing fire up. And then we'll just leave it at that. So anyway, I'm gonna just dive back into this. At this point, I don't know. Go check your email or something and listen to some rock and roll, and I'll get back with you as soon as I get all of these accessories on. If I hit a big hiccup, a big problem, I will bring you into it, because that's always interesting. I say that, and I feel like I had a big problem, and I forgot to bring you in on it. What was it? What was it? Oh no, it was a potential big problem. It didn't end up being a big problem, so never mind. So that was a big nothing burger. I apologize. Anyway, we will hope. Cross your fingers, knock on wood. Here, I've got some wood here, and nothing bad will happen. So anyway, see you in a few. Do you see the brake lights flashing? Do you hear the screeching of the tires as the project comes to a sudden stop? No anti-lock brakes, nothing, just a complete, pretty much dead stop. Kind of a rolling stop, more like maybe some hyperbole is going on. I don't know, you judge for yourself. Let me show you. I'll just show you. The proof is in the pictures or whatever. So these beautiful finned valve covers are beautiful and finned, as we can see. However, if you look back on here, the back side, you see those two ports there? Yeah, that's where the lines come out the back of the air conditioning compressor. Well, that's not gonna work. I got no room for lines. There's nothing. No lines are going in there. So these are tall valve covers. And what I've done is I have ordered short valve covers. They'll come down below where these come out. They're still gonna be finned like this. They're still gonna be aluminum, you know. Don't worry. We are going to stay with the theme, because I like the theme. I really like the tall covers. They look great. But they're not gonna work. That's just the fact of it. So I ordered them, but they're not gonna be here for this, you know, visit. What do you wanna call it? I hate calling it an episode, because that seems like you're not here, and you're here with me, and we're looking at this together, and it'll be next week. It'll be next week. We're not gonna hear this motor run this week. I could hook it up and everything minus the AC, but that's not my style. We're not rushing for the payoff. We'll get the payoff when the payoff comes. We're not going to just shortcut it. So what I am going to do is just continue the work that we talked about before. I'm gonna have to disassemble all of this bracketry here to get that off of there. So I've got some disassembly to do, and then I'll get up under the car, wire up the starter, get that done, that type of stuff. But I can't finish the front of the motor here. I'm not even gonna put the radiator in. I could be doing that, but I'm not gonna do that because then I risk causing damage. I don't know, we'll see. We'll see what I have time for. I have about a half a day to do work on this, and then my family's in town. So I get done what I get done, and then we'll pick up right where we left off next week, and it'll be super exciting, and maybe we'll get the payoff then. That will be my plan. So I'm gonna just keep plugging away here on the little ancillary things. Is that a word? Ancillary, not main, but critical. And then, yeah, then we'll close out this episode. And see, I just said episode again. I'll close out this visit that we're having, and then you can go home and do your own work. And then we'll come back next week to dive back in. We got the exhaust to do. That's gonna be really cool. And I don't anticipate any problems with that at all. No problems. This is a problem-free. Cars are people too, where we make problems go away. Where problems come to stay. I don't know. I'm still working on the tagline, but we'll come up with something. All right, I'm gonna just kind of get back to fiddle farting here, and then we'll sit down and have a, maybe share an apple juice or something at the very end. So just carry on, keep on, keeping on. All right.
High water, I'll walk right out that door. Compare high water, I'll make you miss me no more. Compare high water, I'll tie you to this track. Compare high water, I'll leave you and never look back. Someday you'll come running, somehow rivers calling, you'll see I'll be longing, I'm free. Come hell or high water, I'm gonna make you love me. Come hell or high water, I'll bring your blue skies down. Come hell or high water, I'll kiss you and make no sound. Come hell or high water, I'll catch you before you fall. Come hell or high water, I'll come in like a wrecking ball. Someday you'll come running, somehow rivers calling, you'll see I'll be longing, I'm free. Come hell or high water, I'm gonna make you love me.
Well, cheers. So my cup even says cheers on it. Cheers to you. It used to be this full. Now it's this full. I love apple juice at the end of a long day. I don't like not finishing a project when I had a goal to finish it. A lot like I am not a fan of foods that have the word choke in them. You know, in the name. Artichoke, choke cherry. If it's got choke in the name, you don't need to be eating it. That's all I'm saying. So I had more struggles. I did get the radiator mounted, but the top supports aren't going to work, so I have to figure out something different for that. I managed to break off a couple of vacuum line thingies as I was assembling the vacuum system, so parts ordered. Parts will be coming. I've got one of the vacuum nipples for the cruise control servo just broke clean off. So I found a new one on eBay, not a new one, a used one, but the vacuum ports aren't broken off on that one, so that's coming. What else? What else did I order that I can't remember? Anyway, this is real life, you know? We don't just fast forward through the hard parts. But I'm really hopeful that next week we can hear this thing running. That is my goal. I ran out of time this week. I flat ran out of time. Yep, time's up. So we're gonna call it quits for this week. Super glad you stuck it out. I know sometimes it probably just seems like it's tedious almost, but it's not. It's super fun. We're putting I don't know, a Chevy 350 in a pickup that had a 305, and we're like tripling the horsepower that the truck had. It's gonna be super great. A lot of different things have to be sorted through. I ordered new valve covers that were shorter. I may have to modify inside the valve cover to get it to work, but with the shorter one, then I can get the AC lines. And I hate to modify the tall covers because they're so nice. I can use them on another project. So we've got those ordered so we can finish buttoning that up. It's just a lot of stuff. You know, when you build things, it's like Legos, except you're dealing with, you know, Lego, and you've got some Duplos thrown in there. You maybe a few, you know, off-brand, knockoff Legos that seem to fit, but then kind of come loose. And then you've got old Legos that have been stuck together for 30 years and you can't pry them apart. It's like that. So we're building a Lego set and lots of different companies are involved. So anyway, again, cheers. So grateful for you hanging out with me and keeping me company while I'm working. And I'm gonna spend the weekend with my brothers and most of my sisters. Yeah, it's gonna be great. My youngest sister's turning 30, let's just put it that way. I shouldn't have said that. Just between you and me. Let's just keep it between ourselves. Let's pretend, just back it up. I didn't say anything about it, but we're all in town to surprise her for her birthday. So I'm already in town because I live here, but everyone else is coming in. So it'll be fun. We're gonna have a good time. So anyway, have a good week and we'll see you next time.